Alright, hello all. I've had a few requests to update Arch Linux installation, basically the Arch way, as they say. There's going to be just a couple of exceptions, or just one major exception is I'm going to use Gparted, simply because I wanted to demonstrate that you can dual boot something like Ubuntu or Windows, or whatever, with that. So this is Ubuntu 14.04, Ubuntu 14.04. So I'm just gonna I have Gparted, but I'm gonna use my it doesn't matter as long whatever has Gparted. I'm gonna use my ISO image that I've made, and this has Gparted on the image. So I'm just gonna restart with the image in the drive or in VirtualBox, and I was going to boot into this. So the only part is, as I mentioned, is this just the Gparted stage to make enough room for Arch Linux to install. Okay, so whatever way you have to boot from Gparted. Okay, you can't use it on your system you're working on or device or partition. You can if it's a partition that's not mounted or active, basically. So, as you can see here, I just did the default Ubuntu install, so it makes an extended partition with a Linux swap, 4 gigs. That's what I gave how much memory, 4 gigabytes. And this is the SDA1 is where Ubuntu is installed, and there's I allocated 25 gigs in total, so there's 21 gigabytes free. So there's several ways you can do this. You can right click on it and resize move, and you can use this slider bar here to resize it to free space before. You probably want free space after. So say approximately free space remaining approximately 10 or so gigabytes, maybe a little more. Okay, and just hit this resize / move, and then we have to click this check button, sorry, to apply the operation, and then click apply. And on your, if you're using depending on how much hard drive space you have, what type of hard drive, this could take quite a while or be very quick, depending if you had a solid state drive as well. Okay, so you should come back with all operations successfully completed, and click close, and you can close out Gparted and whatever else you have. And actually, we're going to power off the system, shut down. Okay, and go back to our VirtualBox. I don't know why it disappeared on me. And see, we have it's powered off, but there's still the device in there. So just untick that. And I haven't done anything as far as Arch Linux is concerned yet, but we'll get there. I just want to make sure Ubuntu took the partition resize, because you always want to check that your whatever operating system you may be working on is still working. Okay, so everything seems fine. We have a little less disk space. Where it be system monitor. There we go. So now it's 11.2 in total. Okay, that's if you're using partition. I usually install Arch Linux on a separate hard drive, so I don't worry about partitioning. Okay, so let's move on to Arch Linux. So again, you download it from archlinux.org. You convert it to the ISO to a disk, DVD, disk, whatever, rewritable, or onto a USB drive. If you're coming from Windows, I would strongly suggest throw it onto a disk, just in case, because not all the images will take well on a USB. But you can try. You can try your own methods if you know how to do those. If you're not sure, just put it onto a disk. Once it's done from that, you boot from the media, depending on your BIOS. You have to go in your BIOS or change to tell it to boot from CD or USB, or maybe you have a hotkey F12 like I do to switch to boot from a different disk or USB drive or CD-ROM. Okay, so Arch Linux 2016-01. There'll be a new one out pretty soon, but usually at the beginning of each month there's a new ISO. Usually doesn't matter too much. So you open that, and Ubuntu will probably just automatically mount it, but that's fine. We'll just shut down and restart. And F12 to select boot device. In this case, it automatically picks it up in VirtualBox, but you might have to select something like that where it's at F12 to select boot device to boot from whatever you're going to use, a USB or CD drive. Now, just for the screencast, I'm going to make the size of the screen a bit larger. So I just press tab there, space. I'll zoom in and typed in VGA equals 792. You don't have to do that normally from your main system, and then just press enter. Just press enter. Choose which one. I chose 64-bit. There was i6-8, which is 32-bit, but I have a 64-bit system, and Ubuntu was 64-bit as well. Now the thing is another thing I want to do. This is completely to do with the screencast or the video, is to set the font size. Okay, don't worry about that either as much, unless you want to. Okay, so the first thing is obviously you want to make sure we have a network connection. Now this doesn't have wireless in it. This is VirtualBox, but out of the box, or the ISO, the Arch ISO has netctl or net command line utilities, and another great utility along with that is Wi-Fi-menu. If you're using wireless, you type that in, Wi-Fi-menu, press enter, a dialog will come up, and if it finds your network, you just enter, press enter, scroll down, then it'll ask you for your passphrase, and it should come back with you connected. It won't say anything. If it doesn't connect, it'll tell you it can't connect, but if it doesn't say anything when it comes back, then you know you're connected. So if I do that now, it's going to give me an error. Okay? But again, since this is VirtualBox, it's already set up. Okay? I'm not sure about wired connection either. I might already pick it up. So in any case, once you have your network, just do a pacman -S Y Y, the signal pacman, and to sync the mirror lists to the packages database to the Arch Linux mirror list on the internet, of course. And as you can see, just three databases: core, extra, and community, but there's more, as you'll see as we go along. So let's install the program. And the traditional Arch way, without any helpers or anything, is pacman-S, and if you're running as a user, it's sudo pacman-S, and the program you want. I'm going to get Reflector. And this thing is press tab, and sometimes it'll autocomplete for you. So it's going to download Python 3.51 and Reflector. And depending on your connection, it may take a little while. Okay, so then it just brings you back to the command prompt at the bottom here, and I'm going to use Reflector to sort the mirror lists by the rate and the fastest, and by how old they are. And there's just flags. So you do you type in the word Reflector, start typing it, REFL, press tab. If Reflector is a unique program, it'll complete it for you. And you do a -C for your country. You can put it in a single quotes if it's a multi-name like United States. It doesn't matter if it's one word like Canada. You don't have to put a single quotes, but I'm just showing you that. So that's the way you would do it with more than one word. So -F 12 -L 12. So I'm going to get 12 files listed by the rate, and then -N. Oops, sorry. It's going to be 12 as well. That's hours. How old they are on the mirror. 12 hours should be good enough. And if you want to see the output, 2 dashes verbose, another 2 dashes save. Okay, /Xfce. You can, if you just type /E and press tab, it'll complete that for you. And then pacman. If you start typing pacman, press tab. It has a dot. We want .d. Okay. Another /mirror. Start typing mirror, and it's going to say mirror list. So what that's going to do is going to sync the mirror list to my country, to the fastest, and 12 hours old. Basically, you're updated within the last 12 hours. Again, this might take a little time. Okay, so that's done. Alright, so we're connected to the internet, and we have our mirrors, and we've already installed the program through Pacman in Arch Linux. Keep in mind, though, everything you install before, when setting it up, you're going to have to install again, but that's not a big deal. So I'm going to clear the screen. Okay, there's not much, it's just mirrors, rsync, and HTTP. And I'm going to use Fdisk. You may have heard of that before. Windows Fdisk. And I'm doing -L. I'm just leave it as -L. It should show you all the hard drives on your system and partitions. At the top, it's a device SDA. That's the only hard drive it sees because it's VirtualBox. And the partitions, as you can see, are Linux, which is Ubuntu, extended, and then the swap file. And then the loop is the actual ISO, basically. So let's do this again. Fdisk-list/device SDA. Now we're just seeing the device and then the Ubuntu installation. Finally, Fdisk/dev SDA, because that's the only one we have. If you have more, it could be B, or C, and so on. So SDA. And it's not that hard to use. If you want to write a new partition, you type the letter N for new. And it's going to ask you what we want. And since we only have one partition with Linux, we can get away with primary. Okay? If you have more than 4, then you want it extended. But it selected the default primary. Press enter, and it's found partition 3, which is empty. I purposely left that empty with Gparted to go through Fdisk. So default partition number is 3. The first sector, we'll just leave it as it is. Now, if you want to separate root and home, you can do something like, say, your home partition plus, put a plus sign. Root partition, say 5G. Press enter. Okay. And your home, another partition, new, and we'll just defaults. Okay. So our root partition will be 5 gigabytes or so, and our home partition will be 5.3 gigabytes. When you're happy with that, you just press W to write that out. Now let's issue Fdisk/list/dev/SDA. You notice we have more partitions now. Okay. They do look the same in the way that says Linux 3 times, and Linux swap. The first one is, again, where it has an asterisk under boot. If you notice here where it says device, that's Ubuntu. So we want to make a file system on device SDA3 first to start. That's going to be our root partition for Arch Linux. So to make a file system from the command line, it's mkfs make file system, abbreviated, extension, and press tab on that, and it's going to be extension 4 because that's the most compatible one for many devices. So, and then we want to tell it to be on device SDA3. Alright, and it's done. And we just do the same thing, and all we do is change the last number to SDA4. That's it. Okay, so now we have extension 4 for our root and our home partition for Arch Linux. So we just mount our root partition to /mnt. First of all, we tell it mount /device SDA3. Remember, that's our root partition to /mnt. Now we're going to make a directory mkdir /mnt, and we're going to type in the word home. Now we're going to mount our home partition dev SDA4 to /mnt/home. Okay, and you can turn the swap on. You can share a swap file between Linux file systems if you want. So if you do an Fdisk, if you can't remember Fdisk, sorry, -list/device SDA. You see the swap, Linux swap Solaris is on SDA5, so you can go swap on dev SDA5. Okay? So far, so good? So, following along with the notes, we did the Fdisk, and if you have a separate hard drive, you want a separate swap partition, it's just mk swap and then the device. I'll upload these notes so you can look at them and download them, whatever, and then swap on, and it'll probably be a different letter than in what we have here. Okay. So from here, we just issue pack strap. Now there's arguments like -i for interactive, but we're installing Arch. Basically, it's just going to say you sure you want to do this. So I'm going to leave out the letter I. Okay. We're going to pack strap to the mounted partition. And we're in Arch Linux. You install the base. Okay. And I always get base-devel. Base-devel is for your programming and sudo and devices such as, I can't remember offhand, extra file systems, basically, compatibility for that. If I can remember the word, it's so common. But so you just press enter, and it'll resync the databases from what we did with the Reflector program, and then proceed to download Arch Linux base and base-devel for you. So this looks like it's going to take a little while, so I'll pause the recording, and all it's doing is just downloading. So I'll just wait till it starts downloading. There you go. Okay, so I'll be back when this is finished. Okay, so it puts you back to the prompt, and you see just above the prompt says pack strap /mount, what I typed in, and basically the time it took, the user and the system and the CPU, and the total is annotated. I mean, shown on the screen. As for the file systems I was trying to think of, it was RAID. I'm so sorry. It's not really a file system. It's just a function. In the base-devel, you'll be able to use RAID if you need to. Sorry about that. My apologies. And so let's move on with the notes here. Regenerate a file system table, or genfs tab. It's actually a document that it makes. Okay. And I'm going to zoom in here. genfs tab. Press tab for that. And if you do a capital U, it's going to be a unique identifier for each partition and hard drive. Basically partition. And it's pretty much endless. I think it's so random. So gen fs tab from the mounted partitions that we have, and if you put 2 arrows, it won't overwrite the document. So 2 arrows out to mnt etc fs tab, and I am pressing tab on my keyboard to complete that, and you press enter. If you want to check that, just type in cat/mnt etc fs tab, and here we go. Unfortunately, I can't point anything that's in here because I don't have a pointer, but you can see that it's device SDA3 is root, which is just a slash, and device SDA4 is /home, extension 4 on both of those, and there's our swap file SDA5. And the zeros and the ones, 01, 02, 00, 01 is to tell it to do a file system check if needed. Okay, 00, you're not going to file system check the swap file. Okay, 02 it will as well for your home. Okay, so once that's done, Arch is so easy in some ways, command line wise, because it has things already built in like the bash completion. So you do start typing Arch and press tab, it completes it for you. That's what we're going to do. We're going to chroot or chroot arch-chroot to / our mounted system. Now we're in Arch Linux. If you do an ls to list files, that's it. This Arch Linux is installed for the most part, of course. We have to we have to obviously set our password, our root password, our location and time zone, and a few other things. So first thing I always do is password. The worst thing you want is to try to log in, and you have to reboot from this ISO and mount everything and type in make a password for your root. Okay, so let me see what we have here. Password. Okay, well, let's generate our locale. So I'm going to zoom back out, and we have the nano, which is a text command line based text editor. It's not too hard to use. So nano/etc, press tab, locale, press tab, .gen. It gives you a whole bunch of languages you can see here from A to Z or Z. So I'm just going to, I know what mine is, so I'm going to page down 6 times. It's ENUS. You just delete the # hashtag, and I'm going to also get the ISO, uncomment the ISO for compatibility for a lot of things, especially in terminal. When you're finished with that, just press Control O and enter. The reason I use Control O instead of just X and that, and Control X to answer yes, is just in case I want to make more changes. So it's been written out, but I haven't exited. But in this case, I'm not going to make any more changes, so I'll just press Control X to exit. Okay, then we just tell it to generate that. So it's locale dash, and you guessed I press tab, locale dash gen, and that's what it spits out. And I found this handy too, is you type in locale out to just one arrow to etc locale backspace that .conf, and to spit that out basically is locale.conf, and everything's set up for you when you do that. So I like to I like to use that command. Okay, so just type in the word date, and it says it's tomorrow, which is wrong from here. So what we want to do is you're going to have to find your continent or your country. In Arch Linux, it's to list, ls list in Linux, period. And it's in USR, share, zone, info. I'll zoom out because there's quite a few here. There we go. So you see there's continents and countries. And so on, as you can see here. You can UTC as well. You can just leave it as it is. It'll be just straight UTC. I mean, so I know what I want, but I'm going to show you it. You have to type in your country, for example, and it gives you more examples: Atlantic, Central, Eastern, etc. So what I'm going to do is ln symbolic link -s Xfce. USR share zone info, my country, my area. Okay. I'm pressing tab on that. You could do something like this as well. Say America, New York. It'll do the same thing. Okay. So anyway, once you get your time zone, just no arrows or anything, just type in the word Xfce, and you have to type in the whole thing, local, not locale, but it's local time, and press enter. Now let's take a look at the date. There you go. Now it's today again. Alright, so that's setting up your system locale and your system's location, or time zone, I mean. Okay, so from here, you can do this post installation, including the locale and the time zone, and you can also change it. You just have to delete the time zone. You have to delete the Xfce local time as the root user. But I like to do it beforehand. And the same thing with users. You can add a user after. It's a little confusing. It's user add /m. Oh, I'm so sorry. A -m, a -g, and a group of users. Okay, that's standard. A -G for groups, and groups include ADM, admin, LP. I'm not sure what that is. Wheel. We definitely want wheel. If anything else, just wheel. If you can't remember anything, storage. Power, video, or audio, video, okay, and so on. That covers a lot of it. To a new user, so it's -s, and we're going to use bash, okay, instead of z or zsh. So bin. So this whole crazy line here /s. -s/bin/bash, another space, and any username you want, and no capital letters, just small letters, and press enter. If everything's okay, it's not going to say anything. It's just going to accept what you just did, and then you just do a PASSWD for your new user, same as we did for the root. Okay. Now, to give us wheel access, it's basically sudo access in Arch Linux. It's editor, in capital letters, equals nano, and then VISUDO, and press enter. And this is the sudoers file. So I usually just page all the way down to the bottom, and there's two here. Either you can uncomment wheel equals all, that's, and it'll prompt you for a password when you type sudo, or no password, or it doesn't type it. So if you're single user on the desktop, or not in a company, or whatever, you know what I mean. You probably just can get away with no password. Well, I always do. So once you decide on which one, Control O and Control X. Okay, so we have our user set up and ready to go for when we restart and log in Arch Linux. Alright, so where are we here? Okay, I'll clear the screen, and our network, this is optional, but I like to echo a host name. So I usually, in VirtualBox, I usually call it VBox out to, with that arrow, Xfce host, and you have to type in host and then name. You can do that same thing VBox. Now, for some reason in Arch Linux and maybe other Linux distributions, is if you're going to use Firefox, which I usually do at some point, is if you don't edit the host's file and tell it your host name, for some reason Firefox takes forever to start up. I don't know why that's happening. So this is an optional or an extra step. Nano Xfce HOSTS. You have to specify the S there. And where it has the 127 IP address line, where it has localhost, you take out localhost and type in whatever you called your machine, like I did, VBox, and take out the other localhost. Oops. And type in VBox. That's it. Save and exit. Now, since this is VirtualBox and it's wire connection and it's picked it up, I can do this system ctl enable DHCP PCD dynamic host control protocols daemon something like that. If not, you have to get to run Wi-Fi menu again for wireless. You have to download some packages. I always download them anyway, just in case. So it's more packages. You don't have to through Pacman -S for your wireless. So it's wireless _tools WPA _supplicant, and definitely get dialog or nothing will work at all. And it's going to prompt you, and just press enter if it's a capital Y for yes. Okay, that should have you covered for in most situations for wireless, not all. Okay, where are we here? And let's get some extra stuff. I always get extra things. Pacman -S. I use if you're going to use Reflector, and you're going to need rsync for that. rsync. I usually use mlocate to locate stuff, things, files, whatever, through the command line. It's a database, small database that can grow, but not very big. So mlocate and bash -completion, which is so handy. Okay, so we have our internet hopefully set, and some goodies already if you wish to use them. Now we have to address our audio and our video. It's no harm in installing, like if you installed ATI, Nouveau, Intel, it'll just use whatever your system's using. But the problem with that is it won't pick up on what Zorg or Xorg service to use, which is the display manager for Linux. Has been for a very long time now. So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install VirtualBox through Pacman. Excuse me, Pacman -S VirtualBox -guest -utils. And what happens here, it's going to say, oh, I know this machine is running VirtualBox, and I'm going to have to download the Zorg as well. So once I press enter, there's a couple of questions. Okay, first question: Mesa libgl, NVIDIA, like so on. Since this is not going to be using any kind of NVIDIA card, I'm going to the default's #1. On my main system, I have a GTX 970. I would select option 4, NVIDIA libgl. But in this case, it's just Mesa-libgl, which is default #1. Input device, I've always used fdev. I'm not sure what the other one is. I'm sorry. So there you go. It's going to download Zorg server and most of its dependencies, but we'll need a couple of more after this is done. So 35 megs and 141 once installed. So I'll pause the video again and be back. And Okay, so welcome back. And the reason the Catalyst drivers, they're not supported by Arch Linux anymore. And their reason is that AMD does not update the drivers to be compatible with the Zorg server. That's basically why. Okay, that's why you don't see an ATI or Catalyst option. NVIDIA is the most you have to wait, if ever, is a day that I've found. Okay, that's why. And it's a real pain to get the Catalyst drivers installed. Alright, so with that said, I have to enable the VirtualBox service. So it's systemctl again, enable, and it's vbox service dot service. Okay. Now, in order to run just a basic X service, we have to get some more Zorg goodies. So Zorg-X init, Zorg-TWM, which is basically a tiling window manager, TWM, Xterm, and if you want, for fun, you can have X clock. Oh, sorry, Zorg-X clock. Okay, very quick, very simple. And now we'll have to address our sound. So it's Pacman. This one's much easier. -S ALSA -utils. And hopefully it will pick up on your sound card. If it doesn't, you'll have to get ALSA plugins as well, or extra plugins and stuff. But in VirtualBox, it picks it up, obviously. On my system, it picks it up as well. Now, for Pulse Audio, I'm not going to install it here. I only use it if I have to. You don't have to use it, but well, how can I explain that? You have to use it. In my case, I have to use it because I'm recording a video, and if I have ALSA twice for some reason, just ALSA, I won't be able to record the video audio portion. If you're going to use Skype, you have to get Pulse Audio, which is unfortunate because it's kind of taken away from the choice factor of things. Some programs won't work, such as Xfce View, which is a video webcam program. It won't work without Pulse Audio. So sorry about that. But I'm not going to install it here. That's up to you if you want to later on. Okay, so we've gotten most of the work out of the way, and from here you can also install your desktop environment. That's why I have Pacman-S Xfce4. That's what is on my desktop. This is Xfce4, and I'm very familiar with it. You can use GNOME or Cinnamon or OpenBox or whatever you wish, but I like to get Xfce4. So you might as well get it if you can get it on this side of the installation. Why not? It actually helps a little because it downloads a couple of poll kits for rules, so it just makes things easier for your system, for managing your system. Okay, so it's about 300 megs, close to 320 megs installed. Okay, so Xfce4 desktop is installed. It's not everything. It doesn't have a text editor or a web browser or any extra themes. It does have extra themes, but and no third party, of course. And you can see there's things like GNOME Keyring for passwords. You have to install those. A network manager, but it's enough to get you started. So from there, we'll just run our mkinit, which is I love it. I think it's great. It's what it does instead of it used to be a whole conglomeration of devices. What it does, it just takes what's on your system and compacts them. So basically, mkinit compresses the input-output devices, etc., on your system. And you can even trim that down even more to get faster boot times, which is very cool. So you just run the command mkinit in it, press tab, it'll automatically complete that, and a -P to make the image, which is going to be Linux. And you'll always see possible missing firmware. You can 99.9% of the time ignore that. Okay, so it's done. Now we're going to have to get grub from Pacman. So Pacman-S grub. And since we have Ubuntu installed, we have to get os-prober. And pretty much it's self-explanatory what that is. So once that's installed, you just run grub-install/device sd. In our case, in this case, it's only one device sda. Okay, so I press tab there. That's all it's gonna autofill that in. So no 1 or 2 after that. Whatever you do, just sda. If you're on a separate hard drive, sdb, c, and so on. So just press enter. And then once that's done, we're going to run our grub configuration file. So grub, again, -mk make config -output to /boot grub, and grub again .cfg. It's going to complain about the extended file system. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But it did find Ubuntu. And that's it. We've installed Arch Linux, I think. On this side, and most of a desktop environment. So when you're finished, you just type exit, and then umount -mnt space -R. Now, if you're on your main machine, you can reboot and remove the drive or disk or USB, but I'm going to power off. So we're just power off and remove the image from VirtualBox, which is right here, as I mentioned earlier. So just uncheck that. So once you've restarted or whatever, you should be, start in VirtualBox. I have to restart VirtualBox, and let's make sure that Ubuntu is still there, because sometimes, okay, it looks like it's still there. Aha! There we go. And there should be an extra device there. There's 2 devices. There's your Arch Linux installation. Okay. And there's your home, which is your username. So Ubuntu's happy, and we'll just reboot and go into Arch Linux, shut down, restart. What was that all about? That was weird. So I can, I'll just close this back dialog. So we'll just go into Arch Linux. Okay. Just press enter if you see that in VirtualBox. Just, let's log in as root. And do a pacman-SYY. Okay, we're connected to the internet, so we're all good. And a couple things is completely optional. I'm going to make the screen larger again. So Nano, I don't have it. There's no GUI yet on this part. Nano at the default grub, and we'll go down to where it has grub underscore graphics mode or GFX mode. I'll zoom in. It's pretty small. Where's the cursor is blinking here? Okay. I'm going to type in 1024 by 768 and write out and exit. And then we'll have to remake our grub configuration file. So grub-mk config /o/boot grub.cfg. And just reboot. And it should be, hopefully, there we go, it's a larger screen. Okay, still, we're going to just log in as root. I don't know if you can set the font just for this video. Yeah, there we go. Make it larger. Alright, let's check for an update. So it's Pacman-SYU for update. because you never know. Updates occur very often in Arch Linux. Okay, since this is 64-bit, you might want compatibility with 32-bit programs. So I usually do a sudo, not sudo, I don't need to do that yet, nano Xfce pacman.conf. And I'll page down pretty much near the bottom and uncomment where it says multilib, delete that, and include the pacman mirror list and delete. Write that out and exit and resync our mirrors, pacman-SYY. And it should find the extra multilib direct mirror database. So the database has been updated. So that's it for the root user. So exit and log in as your user. And the beauty of Arch Linux, you don't have to configure anything, you just type in start X. And there's our tiling window manager, there's our clock. To make things an icon, you just click on that button and you can, didn't mean to do that. Resize, move around, and so on. Okay? And to get out the first terminal, just type exit. Clear the screen. Another nice thing too, with Xfce4 is you type in start Xfce4. And you'll be presented with the dialog. Use default configuration, and there you go. You have your Arch Linux installation with the correct time and date. You can configure that through properties, say 12-hour. Now there are things we have to get, such as sudo pacman-S gvfs GNOME virtual file system to see our file systems, other file systems, and our trash can. You notice on the desktop we didn't have any trash can. Okay, so just do a quick reboot again. Make sure everything's okay. I usually uncheck save future sessions, okay, and just hit restart, or yeah, just restart. Okay, so we'll log in as a user again. You press the arrow key, and you can usually get back start Xfce4. And there's our 12 gigabyte volume. That's Ubuntu. There's our trash can. Problem is, not a problem. If you double click, it's going to ask for a password, but you can work around that as well. But there's Ubuntu, as you can see, or maybe not. Home. Same. Okay, so and right click to unmount. Now, if you don't like having to type in your password to log in and start Xfce4, there's many login managers that you can get. In Xfce4, I mostly get LXDM. LXDE's window manager, login manager, desktop manager. So sudo pacman-S. Oh, I'm so sorry. LXDM. And LXD, if you've heard of it before, it's a very light desktop environment. So let's sudo nano Xfce lxdm.conf, and where it has auto login, you can take that out and type in your username. But you have to be careful where it has session equals USR share bin. It's not going to be start LXDE. It's going to be start Xfce4. Okay? And numlock, if you want, I'll put that as a 1 and delete the comment if you want the number lock on when you log in. So Control X. Just answer yes. There we go. And then sudo system CTL enable, and press tab. That's why I downloaded bash completion, lxdm.service. You can do just type in, I believe, reboot. That's one of the reasons I was talking about with PollKit. If you remember, I know there's a lot of stuff involved in this. So now we should be auto logging into our Xfce4 desktop. There we go. Okay, so from here, you want to get a browser, sudo pacman-S Firefox, or you can get both Chromium. You can get them both in one command. And if you want the Flash plugin, it'll do it for you. There you go. And you can get Google Chrome through the Arch Linux user repository. And Chromium doesn't come with the Flash. You have to get that from the user repository. So whatever. Just to demonstrate that you can, one command line, several packages installing. Okay, speaking of the user repository, we have to enable it through our configuration, pacman configuration file. So I'm going to get a text editor first of all. So sudo pacman-S. I always get leafpad. It's such a simple text editor. And just to issue sudo leafpad etc pacman.conf. There we go. Very simple. And we'll just page all the way down to the bottom and press enter 100 times, a couple of times. I'm kidding around. I'm just going to copy these two lines. Whoops, Control Z if you make a mistake there. Control C, or just right click copy. And I'm going to put two square brackets. And inside there, Arch Linux FR. And just to show you, you have right click paste. Uncomment both of these, sig level and server. For sig level, take out optional trust all and replace it with never. And for server, file equals file, take that out and put http://repo.archlinux.fr/$arch. Save and quit. And then we just issue a sudo pacman-SYY to resync and hopefully pick up the user repository, which it just did, Arch Linux FR. So sudo pacman-S and a helper that's very, very popular is yowart to download and install programs through the command line. So yowart Google-Chrome. And it will come back with developer, stable, unstable, or beta. Okay, so if you want Google Chrome, the first one, just type the number 1, press enter. It'll ask you if you want to edit the install and the package build. It's usually safe to say no, press N, letter N, and it will download and install Google Chrome. So now you have 3 browsers. Okay, so I'll let this do its thing. Okay, so it gives you some hints, flags, if you want. Don't worry about it too much. You can read up on that in Arch Linux, on the wiki actually. But I do want to get this, so you can just copy it if you want. Copy. And sudo pacman-S, I don't know why I just did that, pacman-S, and paste it in. TTF liberation. And that helps with all the browsers actually, not just PDF files, but it's just relevant to whatever program it's looking at, which is really neat. Okay, so let's look at our settings manager. Appearance, you can have something like Xfce 4.6. Fonts, I usually slight, RGB. Settings, usually check all that stuff. Desktop. Menus, if you don't like this menu or has applications, you can just untick it and it's gone. It's up to you. Icons, you can have single click. Okay, just minimize and single click to open. So back to our settings. File manager, Thunar. This guy here. This is Thunar. Oops. Okay. Whatever you wish. Behavior, single click, open, middle click, open folder, a new tab. Window manager. I usually take out this roll up thing. right here. Just drag it into here, and just pick some kind of scene. There we go. And the tweak manager. I usually untick. This is personal preference. Untick mouse wheel to roll up windows, workspaces. Again, well, if you don't check that, I find it annoying. If you use the mouse wheel, it goes to. Some people might like that, but I don't. So I just uncheck that, so it doesn't do that anymore. Placement. If you make it all the way large, it'll open everything in the middle. Okay. Compositor. Sync should work fine. Draw a shadow under dock and say make the pop-up windows like right-click a little more transparent. Workspaces, I don't use them, so just I used to use the mouse wheel. There you go. I don't even know how. Whatever. So just one. All settings. Display, you don't really have to bother with in our VirtualBox. Keyboard. Want some shortcuts. Xfce 4-terminal. Press enter. Control-Alt-T. Add another one. Say Sonar. Press enter. Alt-H for home. And one more. Say LeafPad for notes. Control-Alt-N. And back to all settings. And finally, power management. If you're on a desktop computer, not a laptop, like a tower desktop, I usually just put these to never. That's completely up to you, though. Okay, so that's enough to get started. So Alt-H, home, Control-N, text editor, Control-Alt-T is our terminal. Control-D to close, Control-Q, and Control-Q. Now, if you notice, our file manager doesn't have any documents or anything like that in there. You can get a program through Pacman again. And -S xdg-user-dirs. And you just run that command. -user, press tab again, the RS update. Let's go back to our file manager, and now we have our documents and pictures and templates and all that kind of stuff ready for you. Now this guy down here, obviously that's a web browser. It's going to ask you to, it may ask you to, no, okay, it just chose Firefox for me. Okay. Let's take a look at Internet, Google Chrome. You can decide to make your default browser, or you can ask later. And no thanks, or whatever. Okay, so there you have it. I hope that's enough for you. For Arch Linux installation version 2016, along with Ubuntu. And hopefully this will work for you on your main system. There are some differences, as I tried to point out, but I can't possibly get every nuance of every system. But it should give you an idea. Alright, so that's it for this one. And thank you so much for watching. You deserve a medal if you made it this far. And we'll talk to you soon. And bye for now.